we've got a real robust agenda today, so it's going to be action-packed for sure. So just to refresh everybody, our mission is to provide students with opportunities to develop creative problem-solving and problem identification techniques through inventing, innovating, and entrepreneurial activities, leading to greater consideration of STEM careers in high school and college. Just before we get started, just to remind you all that we are screen sharing. It looks like many of you are on the screen share. If you're not, there's a link in the email that I sent out 2 days ago that will get you to the screen share, so you'll actually see the slides. And you'll want to see there's a lot of information on the slides today, so that'll be great. So I'm going to go to the agenda now, and then I'll do a roll call again just so we make sure we know who's on the call. But we've got Danny, who's going to lead off. For those who don't know, he's actually sitting in an airplane right now getting ready to take off, so we'll just have him for a couple of minutes. We'll hear from Sonia, who's going to talk about the event plan and logistics. I'll take on the judging process and also introduce a new communication tool that we're going to be using called Slack. And then we'll hop into any open topics. So any questions you have or whatnot, let's hop into those, and then we'll just talk about next actions. For those that aren't speaking, and it sounds like the line quality is real good, if you're not, wouldn't mind being on mute, that will help our sound quality, and we should be good from there. So right now I know we have Danny, Brenda, Ann, Beth, and Tracy on the call. Who else has joined us?
Helen.
Helen, welcome, Helen.
Hey, I'm here.
I'm sorry, I heard Helen. Who else?
Hi, Leslie Flynn, University of Iowa.
Welcome,
Don Bullis,
Leslie.
University of Iowa.
Welcome, Don.
Roxanne Moore,
here.
Georgia.
I hear Roxanne.
Nicole from New Hampshire.
All right, Nicole and Annalise, too, I heard. All right, cool. Anyone else? All right, cool. Well, that sounds great. Danny, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're sensitive to your time, so I'm flipping onto your quick update slide, and now we're on to your event visits. Tell us about Beth Brubaker and Idaho.
Yeah, I'm really excited about today's call because we have a lot of things that have been finalized, a lot of final things to tell you guys, a lot of great news to impart. Few remaining things that are hanging out there, like insurance. I'm still trying to get the right angle on and exactly how we transfer funds to you guys, but for the most part, most of the details around the event are really well firmed up. I want to go ahead and, so I've just got back from, I'm actually on a trip. I went to Seattle to meet with the Paul Allen Foundation people, then shuttled on over to Beth in Idaho to attend the Invent Idaho finals, which was just an awesome time. Bottom right-hand corner, you see a kid, 11-year-old kid that gave just a really awesome and really mature speech on his journey in making his invention and trying to get it to out to the marketplace and all the different places he's been, including over in Europe to pitch his product, and all sorts of other people. Go ahead and change the page there, Bill. Yep, that's Beth, by the way, in the middle in green. Some of the cool products I saw, six-wheeled boots. And what I really liked about the tsunami stopper, you can't really see it, but basically the idea is that when a wave comes at you, you throw another wave back. But what's really cool about that is it's a great example of marrying STEM with invention education. Because if you look at this, you got light waves can cancel each other, sound waves can cancel each other. This will cancel a water wave. It's a great application of core science into an invention. I think it's something that we all can use when people sort of talk about how we coexist with the whole STEM environment. Okay, Bill. Some other fun ones that I saw. I love the cast coat, which was a coat that's designed for when you're wearing a cast. But I love the little phrase here, snap, crack, pop, there goes your bone. What do you need? The cast coat. So that was pretty cool. And of course, every invention convention would not be complete without your how do you handle the dog poop situation with the Poopinator 2000. And his problem statement is on there is, I do not like picking up my dog's poop. But if you scroll in on there very closely, you'll see that the Poopinator 2000 features are a poop sensinator, a propellinator, a charginator, a battery something-ator. Everything is an ater. It was a very, very funny exhibit. And then over on the right, well, I thought this was really cool. A study came out recently that said that hawksbill turtles are fluorescent and glow. And one of the biggest problems that hawksbill turtles have, and a huge proportion of them die because they don't get to the ocean. And so the idea of this is that they would do fluorescent lighting near the hatchling areas, and it would highlight the turtles as they go into the ocean, so that the turtles would know where to go, and you could show little glowing things going to the ocean to sort of lead them away, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. Again, a nice combination of science and invention. Okay, Bill.
And Danny, we really appreciated you being here. It was great having you in Idaho.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. Rainy day, but it was a lot of fun. So let me go on to the fundraising progress. We continue to make really good progress here. I'm just getting back from this trip here. Got some upcoming visits. If you haven't scheduled me coming out there, get with us. It's all about you setting up meetings and having a reason for me to show up. But let me tell you about what's been happening the past couple of days. We'll go on the next slide, Bill. We continue to move with the IP legal industry travel sponsorship. We've been having lots of discussions with the American IP Lawyers Association. They're going to get the word out to all their membership. We're sending out lots of emails. People are signing up. So if you have not gotten emails sent out, or if you're not getting progress with those emails with the follow-up phone calls, let's get together and strategize on that and try to figure out how to get more progress there. We're not looking to get 100 of these, but if every state got a couple of them, it does a great job towards paying for half your kids going to D.C. Okay, Bill. Silicon Valley meetings this week were really impressive. We were at the Brocade headquarters, and Brocade has already given us $25,000 sponsorship for our event. And what's more, though, is they're actually serving as our patron in Silicon Valley and inviting all their peers over. So we went to a meeting at their headquarters that had Microsoft, EMC, Intel, eBay, Synopsys, the Silicon Valley Foundation, TechCU, which is a bank, Tech Museum, City Year, the Chamber of Commerce, head of the USPTO, people from the mayor's office, really major people. And the reaction was just phenomenal. I mean, people were really into this. There were some good questions that came out of Intel and eBay that I have to get back to them on some assessment stuff. And there are always some Debbie Downers in the group that want to know actually how can we prove this stuff works. But outside of that, we have very near-term meetings that were set up. The San Jose Chamber of Commerce wants to take the lead on this, and they've called a meeting 2 weeks out and for everybody to come back and to invite more people. And so a real movement there is growing. It's really critical because there's so much money in Silicon Valley. So it leads me to some of the individual donor meetings that I had. I don't want to get specific here, but to give an example, I had a meeting this morning with someone who knows personally the governors of Georgia, Texas, California, has been paid tens of millions of dollars by different states to launch businesses there, launched 27 businesses of his own, 16 have exited, two failed, the rest are in play. He's a multi-billionaire. He knows Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Sergey Brin. He's been on his own pursuing an invention convention in San Antonio, and was doing it on his own and was coming up with a plan to do it nationally. We ran into each other. This morning we agreed to merge our efforts, and he's going to be bringing a lot of real political, Hollywood, and corporate major heavy hitters to our cause, including helping us raise near-term travel funds. So, things like that really move the needle. I just have to get my butt back out to California. My daughter's going to get a little bit tired of me hanging out in her apartment. But
Wow, this guy sounds pretty great. Who found him?
Anyway, I don't know, Nick, maybe you? It was a really good job, Nick. He's really worked out in spades. So, and the interesting thing is that he's meeting tomorrow with the head of the Lemelson Foundation, and they're trying to court him to be more involved with them. So there's Lemelson supporting us, Lemelson supporting them. It's a nice little triangle there. So that's going great. So lots of really, really great things. happening in that neck of the woods. Next slide. Just a reminder, we can, if you're trying to raise money in your states, we'd like to come and help, but we need to make sure we've got a packed schedule. The ones where it's really worked the best is where we show up and there's like 5 or 6 meetings and we just crank through them all and try to get people really excited. Best meetings are ones where you got lots of people in the same room, and it's a great excuse to have people rally around the table. So just something to think about there. Next slide. I think that's it for me. Oh, okay. I really was trying to get the answer for this before today's meeting. I just have been traveling. It's been hard for me to get that. We need to figure out the right model for how we get money to you. Do we just pay it directly into things and you guys get the benefits? Do we have to transfer it to you and you receive it? If we have to transfer money to you, what are we transferring it into? So a lot of questions and answers there. I'm trying to get the answers as quickly as possible. We'll send out an email to people, but you might just start thinking about, how would you receive funds from us, or do you have any special requirements? I know Sonia has been reaching out and talking to you guys individually. This is something that she's going to be going state by state with, but we're going to be getting to that point where we have to start paying for things. We're putting the money down on airlines and hotels and stuff like that now, and some of it's as easy as us just putting your name on your account and boom, it's done. But if you have any special reporting requirements or anything, we just have never done this before, so we need to figure that out with you guys. I don't have the answers, and so probably doesn't make sense for us to have a big discussion on it today. But just know that I'm thinking about that now, and we're working towards that. Bill?
Cool. What's the next? That is it for you, Danny. Do you want to sign up? You want to hang on?
Well, why don't I pause here and just ask if there are any immediate questions? I mean, there are people still in the aisles here, so I've still got a little bit of time. But if people have very specific questions, I'm happy to take them.
Danny, one question that was asked, Beth asked it, so I'll ask it now. She asked, your visit to Idaho really inspired a lot of the parents, and the parents have begun fundraising. So that it's a two-part question. One is the fundraising the parents are doing. Can those funds be earmarked just for their children's use? I guess number one.
Yes.
And then two is, can they put it through the STEMI 501c?
Yes, but we just need to know it's coming. We need to know who it's coming from and who it's earmarked to, and we'll track it and label it through the process. It's a very good point, though. I got to tell you, I was pretty moved at the end of the ceremony after we announced the kids that were going to be going to nationals. A lot of parents came up to me and started just thanking us for doing this and saying it was so meaningful to their kids, that they have a place they can go to beyond this. It's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for a lot of them. A lot of parents wanted to accompany their kids, and we haven't really, while we've reserved an abundance of hotel rooms, we do need to figure out how to deal with the parents that want to come along with their kids so they get in the same hotel and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of you may have parents that want to come with their kids, and so it's something to make us aware of as you start to encounter that. The other thing is that, yes, a lot of the parents are starting their own fundraising, and I'm not going to dissuade that, because I'm not going to tell you that we're going to be able to cover 100% of the travel costs for people, and so we're going to be able to pass out whatever we raise, and we're going to raise all the way up to the very last minute. I can commit that to you. And we do have money coming in and earmarked for travel sponsorships, so we are actively doing that. So, but it doesn't hurt to have people fundraise locally and to try to get their kids sponsored. And obviously that's part of what we're coming out there to help you meet with sponsors with as well. So, Bill, does that answer the question? Or Beth, does that answer the question for you?
Yes, it does. It does. However, I want to make sure, can the parents just keep the money that is earmarked for them rather than having to funnel it through?
Well, it depends if they want a tax credit. The check needs to be made out to the Connecticut Invention Convention, which is our fiscal sponsor, until we have our own 501c3. And so that
until you do.
Well, I mean, we have filed for our 501c3 as a STEMI coalition. Until then, we are operating underneath the CIC, which is a 501c3, so that anybody that who wants to give money to the STEMI Coalition get a tax deduction.
Okay, well, if it's okay with you, then we'll just funnel it through the Invent Idaho, which already has the 501c3. Well, how about if we email about this a little later?
Yeah, let us go give you the process on that, because what we have to figure out is if we're buying like 200 plane tickets all at once, we have to pay that, right? And so if it goes through you, you're going to have to write a check to us to cover that stuff. So let us work out a procedure for that. That sort of goes down into the lines of how do we get money to you? It's just the flip side of the same question.
Okay, good.
So
yeah, so you all work through it, and we'll look for the answer.
Yeah, we just don't have the answer on that yet.
Okay, perfect. I'll look forward to seeing it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions while we have Danny?
Danny, this is Tracy from Tennessee. I just wanted to let you know that I came in contact with the same kinds of questions that Beth is, and the children were super excited. I've got the 20 identified, and I'll pursue the fundraising efforts more now that that's over with.
Yeah, and I'm trying to set up our meetings in Nashville with the Entrepreneur Center stuff. I've already sent them emails. The guy I'm trying to talk with is just had like the entire U.S. Department of Commerce Advisory Board on Invention and Entrepreneurship in town, meeting with the governor and everything the past week, and so he's been a little busy. So I'm going to try to reach out to him over the weekend and try to figure out a time that we can come to Nashville and go ahead and make the rounds with you.
Okay, when you have dates that you're coming, if you'll let me know, then I'll try to line up other meetings as well. So I'll just stay in touch with you.
That's awesome.
Great.
Perfect. Anything else for Danny?
Have a good flight.
Thanks. Well, they're close. It's perfect timing because they're closing the gate now, and they're doing the little, waving at the exits and all that sort of stuff thing. So I'm going to go ahead and go. But Sonia's been working really hard on behalf. Guys, I got to tell you, she's had so many phone calls with the hotels and with all these people trying to negotiate all these rooms and get the lowest rates and everything. She deserves a huge round of virtual applause. Sonia, thank you so much for all the work that you've been doing. I know you've got a lot of great stuff to communicate here. And Bill, thanks a lot for leading the awards group. You likewise. And Beth, you'll see that we slotted in a Jules Verne in there to deal with your conceptual people. So, there'll be a way to deal with that issue. So look forward to you guys having the rest of the conversation, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. Okay. So we're now moving on to Sonia. Sonia, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me
Excellent.
okay?
Well, do you want to
Technical
we can hear you just fine. Yeah, so you're going to be talking about the event plan and logistics. So do you want me to advance to the next slide?
Yes.
All right, great. All yours.
Okay, I apologize. For some reason, my computer locked up and I couldn't get to the phone number, so I'm just catching up. I've been working on creating an agenda that will work with things that are available to do in D.C., the USPTO, and hopefully that I've created something that will work for everybody. On May 19th, we'll be working with the host hotel, which is the Westin, and that's where our home base will be. The expectation is that everybody will come and pick up their name badge and string bags as they flow in, and I'm going to try to do like an ice cream social or a taco bar, depending on what time folks are, as I know, get closer to the time. If it's closer to dinner, I'll do something more dinnerish, and if people are going to be trickling in more in the evening, it'll be something like dessertish. So that we'll have something for everybody to do, like a meet and greet and a little networking. I'm also working on contacting different folks for exhibits. That's something for the kids to have in the lobby to do and play with when they get there. And those will also be available the next day as well that we can go forward. We're going to divide up into innovation teams. I'm be looking for volunteers shortly. I've recruited so far my husband to be a team lead to innovation teams where once I know who's coming, my goal is to have the kids meet as many kids as they can from other states. so they can have that experience as well. I think that's valuable experiences, meaning people from who are totally different from you because of where they've grown up, and that has some value in it. So we'll be putting kids into innovation teams that will do a couple things. They'll help keep the flow of traffic around during the next couple of days. So they'll have someone to go through for questions, anything that happens in emergencies or whatever. That person will have the information to help mitigate any crisis that come across. Hopefully there won't be anything. They will also be responsible for taking the groups to the Air and Space Museum, guiding them, making sure they get to lunch, making sure they get to the theater, and making sure they all get back on the bus to come home and return to the West End. That's the day of innovation and learning, so we're working on a theme there. The IMAX Theater, I won't know exactly what we're going to see. The new movies come out April 28th, but I'm going to get my reservation in as soon as I can on April 28th, and it'll be something, I think, related to space. So there's two good space ones, so I'm hoping the one is still there when we're going to be there. We're going to return to the West End, and we'll be having dinner and a speaker and some games that we're still working out. But I'm trying to get, since the day is around invention and stuff and like that, I would like to do the evening a little bit more about the entrepreneurial side. So that's what I'm putting together, and we should have some more information in a couple of weeks. So the day of the event, what I'm thinking for flow is to get everybody over to USPTO, and there's no better way to do that than have breakfast there. So that will get everybody out the door and motivated to get there as soon as they can. Setup will happen, and we'll go through the detailed itinerary of the day, which is I'm getting a refined down. Yeah, that's on the next page, I think. And then at the end of the day, we'll depart unless people will stay over another night. We're trying to make the day end early enough where if people wanted to leave that day, they have that option. But of course, I was able to get, I believe, the West End to extend the rate one more night. Okay, so for travel, I'm going to have to be working with folks. I think you guys might have discussed this a little bit about how you're actually going to get your crew there. And I missed a little bit of that, so I don't know if someone wants to catch me up on what was said. I heard a little bit of the discussion regarding parents, and a lot of parents would like to come, so which adds not too much more complexity because I think we have enough hotel rooms to accommodate parents and kids. But I'll be working with bus companies, and you're going to see here that we're already contacting some airlines to get some reduced tickets or free tickets. So the hotels. Our host hotel is the Westin, and that is a stone's throw from the USPTO. So distance from you, it says 0 there because it's like literally like down the block. It's not even half a block. So that's why we chose this hotel. Other overflow hotels are the Holiday Inn, and that is a little bit further away, but there's with reservations, we'd make the van pick people up in a timely manner to join us at the host hotel for the functions that we have there, and also to bring it to the USPTO. And we have one that's a little bit closer, which is walkable, but it's more pricier. That's the Residence Inn. So those room blocks are there, and as soon as I sign off on a little bit more details, I'll have, including like that will go out on how to book the rooms, links to book the rooms. People will be responsible for booking their own rooms. Registration, this will be done, I believe, in the next 2 weeks as our website goes up, and we'll be able to open this up for people to provide their information, but this kind of a little preview of the kind of information that people expected to provide. And if I left anything off that is important, please let me know. I'm in the process of, these last slides are parts of the packet that I'm creating for all the affiliate and state programs to have that they'll be able to use as a template to modify as needed for their specific geographical area. And plus we'll be able to put this on the website.
I think that's it for your slides. Was there anything else that you wanted to share before I open up for questions?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, cool. Well, so I'm sure there are questions about logistics. So does someone want to start off? And your phone may be on mute, so make sure you unmute before you ask your question.
Hey, this is Annalisa. I was just curious, will we have access to this deck after the call or to the itinerary?
Sonia, did you hear that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can give a draft itinerary out, and that will just be, it's just what it is right now, a draft. I still have little odds and ends. It'll be more, as we get close, it's going to be refined over the next couple of weeks. Matter of fact, I need to spec it out even a little bit further with them, and hopefully we'll do that tomorrow morning. But I'll be happy to send out an email just what we have, just so you have, it's a piece of the overall packet, but I understand you need it kind of yesterday. So
no, that's fine. I just have to submit, at least on my end, I have to submit all this info to the Chicago Public Schools so they can approve the trip for me.
Okay, yeah, I'll be glad to share it with the caveat, the fine print that the things might change slightly to the left or to the right.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
At this point, the dates aren't changing. So
the dates aren't changing.
This is Dawn in Iowa, and I wanted to clarify, so you have the hotel rooms for the 19th and the 20th. How late on the 21st is the program going to go?
Right now we're scheduled to end, the program should end around 3.
Okay.
And then there'll be a follow-up media room for those who have won from 3 to 5. I have, in a little bit more detailed on an overall agenda, what I'm suggesting people do regarding making sure they check out, and I'm working with USPTO to find a place where people could bring their luggage. So there'll be a storage area. You don't have to go back to your hotel, and you want to leave directly from the event.
Okay, and then is the block of rooms under a certain block name?
Yes, right now it's under a National Invention Convention, and I will be getting a link. My goal is to have a link for each affiliate, because you'll know better on your end who's going to go, what kind of rooms you want, so you can go ahead and put a link or call in. One of them is a call-in number, and the other two will be links where you mentioned the National Invention Convention.
Okay, and then one other question, I'm guessing everyone is paying their own hotel expenses. Is it possible to open that block up for the night of, the 21st? Or I'm just trying to think of, if they're giving you a discounted rate already, is that something we're coming in from Iowa, and we'd like to be able to line up other meetings while we're out there since we're making the trip?
I have to call her back today, the Westin,
Okay.
so I asked her to extend the rate, and she was trying to do that. I'm just trying right now to get that short block done. But I did mention it to her, and that's a good note. I'll ask her again to extend the rate another 2 nights. And as far as Danny, is Danny still there?
no, he's probably in taxiing or taking off right now.
Oh, okay, shoot. Okay, so we're doing direct bill. From what I understand is that this year, and so I don't want to be held to this until Danny confirms this, is that it's going to be direct billed to the STEMI Coalition, and the hotel this year will be picked up by the STEMI Coalition, funding dependent. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant about having people 100%. I just don't have the information 100% at this date and time. I believe all this is going to be rolling out in real time over the next 24 to 48 hours.
Sonia, this is Brenda Payne in California, and you're mentioning rooms for the kids and rooms for the parents, and for us at the elementary level, they'd definitely be one room if that helps you any.
Okay, yeah, those are the kind of information eventually I'll be asking folks for, if they could kind of guess how many rooms and what type they'll have, how many they're booking at this point, because I'm going to turn it over to, rather than go through a middle person, having you do it directly because you're more familiar with who you have. In terms, and you will need a credit card to hold it, because, well, I believe the intent is for the STEMI Coalition to pick up and do the direct bill. Incidentals will be
Right.
responsibility of the individuals in the room.
Careful of hotel bars.
I wasn't going to go there. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Yeah, those peanuts are really expensive in there. $7
Exactly.
Peanuts. So
other questions for Sonia? All right. Well, thank you, Sonia, and this has been really helpful. I know this is a big question for folks, so thank you for the update. And it sounds like there'll be sort of a rollout, maybe by Monday or Tuesday, of various documents that will help people as well.
Yes.
Super. Cool. Well, so our last big topic is to talk about the judging process. So I'm just going to highlight real quick. We've already shared kind of the objectives that we've created. You all can look at these, but this is really the basis for how the judging will happen and sort of what the goals are. We're focusing on 4 key criteria. So what's the process, what's the solution, the impact, and how is the presentation. And that's going to be the sort of the core of how the students are evaluated. And this came from a really nice team of individuals, and we looked at several different invention conventions and kind of distilled what seemed to be really the best practices across. To sort of add additional flavor to this, so we're going to use what's used at the Connecticut Invention Convention, and they call them judging circles. But a judging circle is where you have somewhere around 10 inventors, sort of plus or minus, and they're organized by grade. And within that circle, you include 3 judges. Those 3 judges watch the pitches and evaluate and then ask questions. And so the timing we're working with right now, and this may be adjusted a little bit as we kind of work through the schedule, but we're thinking about probably up to a 5-minute pitch, and then certainly in some cases they're shorter and maybe even much shorter, and then as much as 3 minutes of question and answer coupled to that. And the question and answer would be primarily from the judges, but they also may come from their peers. One of the objectives we've had for the National Invention Convention is actually to get to winners, to get to a top 3 and to winners both by grade and by sort of topic area or category area. And so their thought, and we're kind of finalizing this now, but you're kind of seeing a draft version, is that 1 to 3 individuals or inventors from each semicircle or from the semifinals would go to a final circle with their grade. So imagine if you had, one of the larger cohorts, maybe 5 or so judging circles, the top, say, 2 from each of those 5 circles would go to a second circle, if you will, which would be a final evaluation of that grade grouping. And so it would be essentially a second round. And it would follow the same format as the semifinals, same criteria, same judging. We may actually have a couple more judges because obviously we'll need less judges overall for that round, and we'll likely switch what grades the judges are evaluating. That way we make sure the judges haven't seen the ideas before, and that that we keep the integrity of the judging as high as possible. But again, the goal is really to sort of by the end of the program to come up with finalists or top 3 in every grade, and again have a variety of categories of things that we're recognizing. So this will give you an idea of the awards. So what we're looking at is what we're calling competition awards. So by grade, we'll give first, second, and third place, and then overall of the competition, we'll also have first, second, and third place, and then best pitch, best logbook, best poster, best prototype, and so on. And then we'll have some other special category awards: most marketable by industry, most patentable, a staff's choice, and then going over to various categories from agriculture to transportation. You'll see a variety of categories, and when we do registration, we'll actually be asking, one of the questions will be having each inventor sort of classify themselves against these categories. And we're working on 4 areas of distinction as well. So if the invention relates to space, there'll be some recognition there. If there's a social or societal benefit, if it has to do with the environment or green, and then a category that was just stolen from Idaho, where they have what they call a Jules Verne's or Jules Verne recognition, which is for essentially something that is really thinking of a whole thinking on a whole different level of what could be possible, and so that very much futuristic and maybe doesn't fit in any of the other hard categories. Are there questions on the judging or the awards?
I have a quick question, which I may have missed from a different call that I missed. But so we have like the in-person, which is third grade and 3rd through 8th grade, and then are we still having like the virtual one for the younger kids?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think, and Sonia, correct me if I'm wrong, in Washington we're 4th through 12th. Is that the age or the grade groupings that we're looking for? Yeah. Oh, maybe we'll confirm that for you. I believe in Washington we're 4th through 12th, and then K through 3. The idea is to be virtual, and I'm not exactly. I have not heard how the virtual is going to work, so I'll make sure that we communicate that out. Danny is probably likely in the air now, so I can't refer
No,
to him.
that's fine.
Who is this speaking, just so I make sure we follow up?
It's Annalisa from Chicago.
Excellent. And we'll make sure everybody gets this message, but I just want to make sure that I knew who was speaking. Super. Other questions on the awards or categories or judging? Okay, cool. And let's go on. So the next
Actually, Bill, this is Brenda, and I do have a question. Is this whole slideshow available to us after we're done with this conversation?
That's a great question. Yeah, it's we actually record these, and we do a follow-up email. You're being recorded right now, actually. And so, yeah, we publish this in a follow-up email, usually a day or 2 after the call. So you'll see this come out, if not today, probably tomorrow.
Perfect. Thanks.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all. So one of the things that we know over the next, 2 months, there's, just going to be a lot of questions. There are a lot of small details. And what we found anyway is that email, while it may help answer an individual's question, part of the problem is if we're communicating individually on certain topics, just as Annalise's question or Brenda's question a few minutes ago is, unfortunately, the rest of the community doesn't see the answer or the question. And so you all should have received, I believe I sent out yesterday, an invitation to join a site called Slack. Some of you may have used this before. It seemed like several people were pretty familiar with it. But if you're not familiar with it, it's a really good tool for posting questions, for comments, ideas, anything like that. We can attach documents. It's a very light tool, easy to use. It can operate on your computer. It can operate in any type of mobile environment as well. They have an app, and it can be really handy. It's much more conversational. Again, and it socializes questions and answers, so that ultimately those sort of more private emails that unfortunately not everybody gets to see, administratively we probably will end up answering in the email environment many questions, the same question many times. In Slack we can really avoid that and get out answers much quicker, and ultimately especially a first year type event, there's just absolutely no way we're going to anticipate every question, and so I think year 2 there'll be a few less questions, and year 3 a few less questions, but this year having a more responsive environment may help. So that if you didn't receive the invitation to Slack, let me know, but the URL for the group, which the email that we communicate with you on is the email that would have been invited. It may have gone to your spam folder, so check there just in case. But the URL is NIC for National Invention Convention, steer as in steering committee, .slack.com. And if you have any problems with it, using it at all, just let us know. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Bill, it's Brenda, and when I went in through your email, that was fine, and then when I went on to go again and it asked for the group name, I put in Nick Steer and it said does not recognize your group name.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
managed to get in again through the email, but not through the Nick Steer.
Oh, okay. Well, let's, I wonder if, let's see how that works. Maybe it was, depending on the screen, the next time that happens, if you could just maybe copy the screen that you're on so I can see it. Maybe there's something there that would indicate where the challenge is.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Cool. Did anyone else have a question on Slack or an observation? All right. Well, certainly let me know if there are any challenges with it. Again, there may be a better tool or another tool, but we've used this in a variety of other capacities and found it pretty effective. But everything new is always, it takes a few minutes to figure out. So what else besides what we've talked about or in addition to would be helpful for you all?
I have a question that I just wanted to pose to the group. This is Annalisa from Chicago, especially to like Iowa and the folks that have already held their invention conventions. What did you guys do kind of extra to recognize, or what did you prepare to for the students that were selected to go to the national?
This is Dawn from the University of Iowa, and I don't know that Lori Ehrig, who is heading up the Invent Iowa program, is actually on today.
And Ashley is. I'm on for Lori today.
Awesome, Ashley. Do you want to jump in?
Well, I actually had a question because earlier Sonia said that registration was only open until May 1st, and our local invention, our state invention convention is not until May 7th. So my concern would be that we would not be able to get the students from our convention to the NIC.
Got it. Okay. Well, this is Bill. I'll follow up on that for you, Ashley.
Okay, great.
So, Ashley, did you have some thoughts on Brenda's question about how will you Brenda, your question is really about how will you communicate with the students about the national, or what was the just so
It was Annalisa, yeah, and I guess I'm just thinking about ours, which is coming up on April 2nd, and just kind of wondering what other people are planning in terms of, like, what are you going to have, like, packets prepared for them, or just tell them their name and then follow up with them later, or what are people planning to do?
I think for us, since ours is going to be so close to the National Invention Convention, that I would like to have the materials available that day for them to take home and be able to get back to us as soon as possible if that's an option for them or if they're planning on going. I think that the parents would want to know right away as well. So I think having those materials there to hand out as soon as we know the winners would be helpful.
And this is Beth from Idaho. One of the things I did is I had a packet for all those who qualified to move on. And I had just a bulleted list of what we know so far. And I also included on the back a sample letter if they want to do some fundraising. So
that's a great idea. Would you mind sharing that with the group?
Oh, no, that would be fine. It's nothing fancy. And I was a little wrong. I thought that each child needed $2,500, but the $2,500 from the PowerPoint is just from companies. It's estimated, at least for our Idaho kids, it will just need $1,100 per child. So I did have the sheet, but it was slightly wrong. And so that was just what I tried to hand to the winners right away, and then I had a little meeting with the parents immediately following the awards to try to clarify and answer questions.
And do you have, like, backup students in case one of them can't go, or are you still kind of figuring that out?
What I kind of did, hang on to, is I invited too many. Sorry, I'm probably going to be in trouble for that part. I invited too many, and that way if some can't, instead of our first place, then some of the second places can go.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. Has anyone thought about letting the participants know before the event about it so that they're, like, particularly I'm thinking about Iowa with their event on May 7th. It might be helpful, you know, that people know beforehand that actually the people that perform well or the inventors that perform well will get an invitation to this. And
yeah, I was just thinking about that too.
Here are a few of the parameters.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as well. At the State Invention Convention, it's going to be kind of the top prize that you will get to go to the National Invention Convention. So as part of our promotion, that will be on there to kind of give them a heads up that that can be an option for you after State.
Makes sense. Well, someone else had a question, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's Brenda, and in talking to Danny over the last few days, there was a question about number of kids. Are you going to have enough kids at the National? Is there a number at all that you are wanting from each region or area that would make it all work at this point?
Well, that's a good question. So the target we've had has been 300, and there's actually I'll post on Slack the breakdown by area, and of course it's dynamic because more regions are continuing to be added. But there is a chart basically that determines a range of the number of participants by region or participating organization.
And is there that for both the virtual and in person?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't, and this is my own fault, I haven't necessarily been kept up to speed on the virtual side. So I don't know as much about the parameters for the virtual as I do the in-person. So we can certainly make sure that gets communicated as well.
Okay, great. And sorry, so many questions today. I don't know why. Is there like a Dropbox or folder where like all of the regions can share best practices? Like, for example, if we shared what Idaho gave to their students in terms of like sample newsletter things, I feel like we could leverage a lot of materials as we all go through our Invention convention.
Yeah, I'd suggest the first place to post them would be on Slack, and then we can put them on a Dropbox as a central repository. But the challenge of Dropbox is just it's not proactive in terms of letting you know there's new information there, and so Slack would be, and you'd be you'd know when there's new stuff coming out. So it would be a little better for that. But yeah, then we can create a Dropbox folder for everybody and reference it on Slack as well.
Yeah, I just think that would be really, I don't know how everyone else feels. I just think it would be awesome if we could all kind of share our best practices instead of reinventing the wheel for every region.
Yeah,
we're totally in agreement.
There's no reason for us all to create new versions of everything for sure. So that's a great idea. Awesome. Anything else that would be helpful to talk about today? And I apologize, I don't have every answer on these things, but we certainly will follow up on them.
Ann and I are very grateful to have a place for a conversation with other people who are participating. So thank you.
Oh, we're grateful to have you on the team for sure. Well, good. We'll move on. So our next meeting, we're still planning to stay at this sort of monthly schedule. We may do a late April meeting as well, but our next meeting we're planning for Thursday, April 14th at 4 Eastern. So if people think this is too far away, we might put in an intermediate meeting, sort of late March, very early April, sort of breaking up the time. But this is sort of our schedule now. So does anyone think that we should have an intermediate meeting? Would that be helpful?
Well, this is Beth again. As long as you keep sending the emails of information, that helps tremendously. The emails will keep us updated, I think.
Okay, cool. If anyone feels differently, just let me know, and certainly we can add in more. And I think what we'll find if we use Slack, we'll probably find that we get a pretty good information flow, and again, a place where you don't have to wait to ask your questions. You can just ask them, and they'll be socialized, and you'll get quick answers, and probably much more efficiently. Everybody else will be informed as well. So that's what we have for today. Is there anything else before we close up and sign off? Well, thank you all. I'll tell you, the team here is really excited. I know some of you have gotten to meet, at least some of us, but I know folks are getting real excited to meet you all in Washington and meet your students. And I know we're all working hard towards that fun event. So thank you all, and you'll see some variety of communications from us over the next couple of days, first of which will be the link to this call. So if you missed any of it, or you want to share it with anybody, you'll be able to do that as well. So thank you all, and we'll talk real soon. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.